anything comes for you, or we can pick up where we stopped last time?
Pick up. Pick up.
So last time we stopped at the non-dual. At the page 4, at the bottom, what can be said of the power of disillusion and Maya? As a man mistakes a post for a man, so also you mistake the non-dual perfect self for an individual. Being deluded, you're miserable. But how does this illusion arise? He asked the question. Like a dream in sleep, this false samsara appears in the illusion of ignorance, which is itself unreal. Hence, your mistake. So if we just go over it, he's pointing that the power of illusion is such that it makes one mistake something for something else. It's mistaking my true self, which is timeless, and it has no name, no form, to be a thought that appears to be a separate entity, which is I, which has a name, and it is imposing itself on a form, on a physical body. And he continues, he's saying, being deluded, you're miserable. So we talked about the difference between illusion and delusion. Illusion, there is a thought, and there's forgetfulness or forgetting that it is just a thought. And delusion is believing that thought to be real, give it a meaning, and find all the justification why it is real. So if we look at delusion, delusion basically is being trapped or locked into the dream, unable to see that it is dream. It's finding all the excuses why it is actually real. So if we go back to see it practically, I can think about the future and see that there is no future. So I see the illusion for what it is. I might be afraid of something, of the future, and I identify with that. I believe that it might happen or it's going to happen. I'm deluded. I don't see that there is no future and the fear would never happen. Fear never meets reality or life, ever. So that's an example of how I can be deluded, and then it would cause me more bodily sensations and more thoughts and reactivity. And I can think about the future and see that it's actually the past. There's no future, really. So that's an example of illusion and delusion.
Easy to happen.
What?
Easy to happen.
So he continues, and the disciple asks him, what is this ignorance? And here he breaks it very nicely. The master answered, listen, in the body appears a phantom, the false I, to claim the body for itself, and this is called Jiva. So Jiva can be the ego, the soul, it doesn't really matter. So he points that in the body appears a phantom, a mirage, and this is the false I. And it claims the body for itself. This is the mutual superimposition we've taught. The I thought superimpose itself on the source, the self, and it makes the self no different than the I, and it makes the self like it is identical, like it is the I itself, the thought. On the body, it does the same thing. It superimposes itself on the body and make the body appear no different than the I, but actually the body is the I. So that's what it does, that he gives the example of the superimposition on the body. This false I claim the body for itself. Means the I and the body appear to be identical. This is identification. They appear to be the same, no different. And he continues and he points that this ego is always outward bent. Means the habit of the ego is always to go out, taking the world to be real and himself to be the doer and experiencer of pleasures and pains. Means when the ego goes out, the objects of the world appear to be real. Because what the objects do, they create a veiling over the thoughts. I cannot see that I am projecting the object or perceiving them. It looks like the objects exist by themselves, that they can continue to exist without my perception. Because one of the arguments that someone can say, when I go to sleep and I'm a deep sleep, when I wake up in the same place. So it continued although I was not there. So how is it possible? Is it really true that it happens like that? Or I actually have something within me that creates the illusion of continuity?
The universal mind, isn't it?
I can't hear you so well.
Isn't it the universal mind then? The continuity?
Is what?
The universal mind.
Okay. Okay, we can say that. So what creates the illusion of continuity is memory.
Yeah.
I fall asleep. Let's say I have no memory. I wake up. I didn't wake up in the same place. I wake up in the only place that I remember, which is this place right now for the first time. Yet it's only due to memory that I have the illusion that I was there before and now I fell asleep, and here again I start again and I'm at the same place, although the whole world disappeared for me in deep sleep. So it must be continued without me, because I was the one who disappeared and appeared in the place. So I was in the same place, the mind disappeared, and then when it came back, the same place remains. So the place remains without me. Therefore, the world has its own existence. It can exist independent to thoughts. Yet if there wouldn't be memory, I wouldn't know that. So something within the mind, which memory can be also not only individual, it's also universal. There's the individual memory, which is a story, my own personal story. And then there is the universal memory, which is not personal. It's a memory of all the universe. So when the thought I appears, simultaneously, the universal memory and the individual memory appear. And that's why it seems like that the world has its own independent existence, which is not the case, actually. Yet it's a tricky way, it's tricky in the beginning to see it, and I cannot see it from the ego. Because if you go back to this sentence or verse that he's talking, this ego always outward bent, making the world to be real. So
Yes.
the objects are real, and therefore, and he continues, and himself to be the doer and experiencer of pleasures and pain. So I am now experiencing the world, whether pleasant or unpleasant. And then,
So
yes,
what would be the statement meaning that, I'm not in the world, but I'm of the world.
I didn't understand. The,
I'm not in the world, but I'm of the world. So there's two separateness. I'm capable I'm capable of separating myself from the world, but yet at the same time, I know I'm in the world. So is there any difference between the universal mind and the individual mind?
it's always to go back to what you experience within.
That's what I'm experiencing now, is I'm experiencing that I'm in the world, but I'm actually not of the world. I'm
When you say you're in the world, you refer to who?
to Rome.
Yes, I understand. Except be more specific.
I look behind me and see if there's anyone behind me, maybe. I don't know. There may be somebody behind me. I don't know for sure. Uh,
What is in the world? Let's take a really a look.
the thought, the thought, the thought, the thought, it is me.
This is the delusion, right?
Yeah, this
It's,
is the
it's the
delusion.
delusion when you're in the world. It's the illusion when you realize that you're not really in the world.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Uh, I'm, yeah, I'm looking out the window and and that's what I'm looking for is out the world. That, in this illusion, I'm here, but I'm not here.
Okay. So when the I thought appears, it
Yeah.
claims the body for itself, and then the body is in the world. So I am a body in the world. Because you cannot say your thoughts or the thoughts are in the world. Because nobody sees the thoughts you have except the seer, which is you, that which is ultimately sees. So whatever thoughts one have, this is the world for them in that moment. That if we look outside, what's really in the world is the physical body. So when
Is it?
the physical body, yeah, the physical body is sitting in the room, that's
Yes.
in the world. Yet When we
Yet
talk,
I feel,
huh?
yet my experiences, I feel separate from this world.
Because, okay, so what separate from this world?
I am.
I am. That's all I could say is I am. Me.
So let's explore that for a moment. If you sense, just be watchful and watch if there is a thought. There is immediate presence, the beingness of who you are, which is just silently aware, absolutely still, aware, which is a sense felt experience that I am aware without these thoughts, just being aware. When a thought appears, I am aware of a thought. When the attention moves to the body, I am aware of the bodily sensation. Yet if I remove or the attention is just on I am aware without of something, if I don't have a thought about the body, then I don't even know that I don't have the feeling I'm in the world or in the room. And when I have thoughts that appear within me that are just past, then this is the world I'm in at, an imaginary world. Yet when the image subsides within aware, then all there is aware. Is awareness aware of itself by itself. So, what have you noticed or experienced? Was it the way you described, or was it different?
Different, but unable to explain it.
It's I couldn't for some reason the sound I hear you very wobbly. I couldn't hear so well.
I'll repeat it. Different, unable to explain it.
For
So
me, there was a different in and out. Sometimes body sensation would be present, and then sometimes nothing.
nothing means aware, being
Aware,
aware.
being aware.
It's like it's knowing that you're always aware, yet the habit is to be with the attention of being aware of an object. So every thought that we say, basically without paying attention, we're saying, I am aware. So when I say I'm hungry, basically if I look at it, is I'm aware of the bodily sensation. If I say there is a lot of traffic, I'm aware of the objects of perception that come in through the senses. When I say I don't like this food, I'm aware of my preferences. When I say I don't have a thought, this means I'm aware, not of anything other than myself. So I'm aware is a constant, underlying, everlasting awareness.
Yeah, what happens is now I'll explain it perfectly. You're aware of awareness, and that awareness is aware of everything.
Yes, except once it turns to be aware of, then there is a false idea that I am that which is being, I am the one that the I am is aware of. Means I'm aware of a thought, then mistakenly I think I am the thought who's thinking these thoughts. And
Just
that
by
Yes, but
just by using the word of.
it's
yeah,
just by even without speaking, by having the attention on the thoughts, then there is the notion that I'm the one who's thinking these thoughts and the thoughts are mine, and I start being a relationship between the I thought and my thoughts. And then my thoughts are affecting me, which is the I thought, and I can affect my thoughts. Or I start to argue with my thoughts because I don't like this kind of thoughts I have. So this is the whole relationship begins.
Well, awareness is, we've used this expression many times. Awareness is only aware of itself.
Yes.
Right? We've used that often.
Only.
So the time that you are aware is actually after you were aware that you have had a thought about it.
Yes, so I'm aware of, it's always of the mind, yet awareness is in the background, is illuminating it all. So it's always in the background. And this,
okay. So that means that exactly means that awareness or of awareness is only an expression of the I.
yes, exactly.
If we may, that is only an expression of explaining what happened. When you first asked that question, like I said before, I couldn't explain it. But as soon as I attempt to explain it, it becomes the I thought.
Yes. What happens, the I thought talks on behalf of awareness,
Yes.
yet the I thought presents itself and make awareness not different than the I, but the I itself. So now the I thought speaks on behalf of awareness, presenting itself as awareness.
Okay, if we stop there, then is there another way to explain that? Because only in using the language or any language or any kind of comprehension, this is the only way one can explain it. Since the awareness is shining the light that makes this happen. When I say this happen, this whole experience happens only because of the light shining from that which we are, and that's awareness. But that has to be explained or spoken by the ego.
We can.
Otherwise, there's no language.
I don't think it's by the ego. I think it's by a higher intelligence that is closer to the reflection of the light.
Well, I'm not okay. That's fine. I'm just saying I'm not rating or putting ranks on where it's coming from. I'm just using the ego. It could be anything that you want to call it, the higher mind or whatever it is. But you need language and you need prana. So you need all these bits and pieces in order to have this conversation.
Bits and pieces of the illusion.
It's thoughts, feelings, sensations, perceptions cannot appear without awareness. Yet awareness remains without thoughts, feelings, sensations, or perceptions.
So even though that I am completely ensconced with what I am, awareness, this conversation will continue. Correct?
As long as there is the recognition that you are that awareness. not that is intellectual. If you have a sense felt experience of that right now, then
Yes.
then the listening and talking happens inside you, yet you experience only yourself as awareness.
This is the ultimate.
This is your natural state of being.
And this is the, if I may use the word, the goal, to recognize that 100% all the time. True or not?
Is this true?
Is this true?
You are that all the time, beyond time. Just the notion that I'm a separate self creates the illusion that I am something other than that awareness permanently. So that false notion has to gradually melt away by staying with the recognition or being the recognition of yourself as the self.
So
Because there is no interest of I'm aware of something. I'm not addicted to thinking. I'm not interested. There's no one interested in the thoughts or the stories so much. Then the attention rests in itself. If that explains.
it's very much like when you're sitting in a someplace or in your room or in a restaurant and there's music playing and you're aware of the music playing, but I'm completely concentrated on the conversation I'm having with somebody. But the music is still playing in the background.
Okay. It's also if I'm fully engrossed in the conversation and the attention doesn't move to the music, the ears continue to hear, and yet I have no recollection of that noise.
Yes.
Only when the attention moves, I recognize there is the music, and it can move quickly. This attention can move within awareness, yet the sense-felt experience of awareness never goes away, unless the mind is looking for a particular experience.
Will you please repeat that again?
The sense-felt experience of awareness never goes away, it never changes. Yet if the mind looks for a particular experience, it objectifies awareness. And then even there is a seeing that if the mind is looking for awareness and it is seen by you, and that thought dissolves, awareness remains. It doesn't have a particular experience.
So if I say if my mind is focused on awareness, that's if I can even state that correctly.
No, it's impossible.
Impossible.
Impossible the mind to be concentrated on awareness, because it's that would be it's like the thought subsides or melts into awareness. It cannot enter.
You cannot enter. Yet it duplicates. It assumes it is awareness.
Yeah, that's the superimposition.
That's. But
Yeah.
where does it get that information that it can even be awareness? It has to have some reflection in order to copy it.
The light goes through the thought, so it has it. Yes, the light illuminates the thought, means it permeates the thought, and within the thought there is the notion that I as a thought exists, I as a thought a conscious entity, I as a thought has all the knowledge of the self, because that light permeates every thought in every cell of the body, the whole universe. So
Why
then,
can't I copy it?
hmm?
Why can't I copy it if it permeates every cell in the universe, or permeates every cell in my body, in the mind, or whatever it is? It permeates. Why can't I copy it? Why
Because
can I?
you cannot copy something that enables you to copy. This enables you to copy anything and create anything, yet you cannot create what enabled you to create in the first place.
That's, that sounds like the Torah, in a sense.
I have no idea.
Oh yeah, it does. You know, you can get only so close to the Creator, but you can never be the Creator.
If we go simple to the Maya story, Maya has the power of the source within her. She can create anything she wants except one thing, the source itself. She derives that power from the source, so she can create anything. Nothing she can create literally anything and everything she desires, except one thing, the source itself.
Yes, itself.
So she cannot, with the mind, the I thought cannot copy something that enabled it to copy. So it can copy everything other than that which enabled it.
Okay, I mean, I feel that's very easy to understand, even on a mechanical basis. That's right.
Yes.
So that's the foundation. So that's the foundation of all the scriptures that have ever been written. That's the foundation of it. Without that understanding, then there is no understanding that it can't create itself.
This is why all the knowledge that is spoken is that there is no knowledge at all.
That's so.
And the only real knowledge is your awareness, which is not a knowledge that the mind can understand ever. It's the knowingness of who you are. It's the beingness of who you are. This is where wisdom lies.
But when one understands that and has experienced
sense-felt
experience of it, one cannot then control what the body with its sensations do in life, in this illusion.
This awareness is choiceless.
It's choiceless. So what has choice only everything that is in the illusion and is not of the source.
Yes. Choice, preference, this has nothing, awareness has not these attributes. Because we go back to the light,
So,
it permeates a film that is made from name and form, yet the film doesn't alter the light, does not affect the light that
yeah.
permeates it. And the film can never turn the light to be the film itself, the image. Yes? So
Yes.
awareness permeates every thought, yet is not affected by any thought. It permeates every sensation, yet is not affected by any sensation. It permeates every feeling, every perception, yet it's not affected by any sensation, feeling, perception. It's not affected by anything. So it permeates, it's within it, yet free of it.
So,
Unaffected. It's
so who speaks?
paradoxical.
So who speaks?
Who?
Who speaks? Who does the speaking?
So I looked within, checking. It seems like awareness is speaking, yet awareness never speaks. So the mind speaks on behalf of awareness, because the only speech that awareness speaks is silence.
So therefore, it cannot. So therefore, it cannot be spoken. So whatever speaks is not speaking actually from awareness, since awareness is silent. So all speech, no matter from who it comes from, it comes from uh, that which is not the source.
No, it may come from the
It
I
can't.
I
It
see the
cannot come from the source. It cannot come from the source. The only thing, since the source is emptiness, and any speech that comes has to come from the body and its sensations and its organs and et cetera, et cetera. So there
let
can be there can be no expectation.
let's explore that for a moment. If you sit for a moment upright, just for a moment, so you can.
You see how fast we react? Short leash.
It's like almost put the attention more in to the space inside the head and around the head, and just being aware of the whole room. And then it's like silence is immediately here, not as a thought. Now, if silence is aware of itself, even if you start speaking now, and it's like in the beginning, maybe it's like, seems like you hold the attention on that silence. Yet you can, if you recognize Can you share what is the sense felt experience or what recognition, realization you have?
Yes, I mean,
Check.
I'm surrounded. I'm surrounded inside and outside with emptiness, silence. Actually, silence. But
Okay.
yet I'm talking to you and
So
seeing you.
what is if you check who is talking, really see what is the experience, the immediate ordinary experience. If I ask
If
what
I start talking, it's a function of the body.
okay, this is a thought
Yes,
inside awareness, isn't it?
yes.
So without this thought when talking happens, what is your sense felt experience? Who is really talking?
Mm. Uh, so the difference is, the difference is either I'm deluding myself, the fact that
You know,
I'm in, I'm in awareness. I'm surrounded by this, just like you spoke about the glass and the air in the glass and the air outside the glass. But yet I feel like I am the glass,
So
and
if
this, and this, and the silence is around me, and the silence permeates me. But I'm the glass.
so from the notion that I'm the glass, then I think I'm speaking. From
Yes.
the sense felt experience of knowing who you are truly, that your awareness, there is no notion that I'm speaking. So I'm awareness, so one can say awareness speaks. Sometimes people say silence speaks,
Yeah.
stillness.
Well, yes. Yeah. But that's, to me, that's a play of words.
This is why it's always to explore what is the immediate experience one has.
Hmm. So what I'm experiencing is that if I dissolve into that, there's a very strong attachment to that illusion that I, because if I let myself go and immerse into illusion or into awareness, I will disappear.
This is why you can never lose yourself. The only thing that is lost is the false identity that I am a separate entity, that I am an individual being, which is not the truth. This is why being feared to lose yourself is just an idea. And the more you experience yourself, your true self, which is everlasting, this fear of losing yourself fades away. And then the fear of death is gone. because you realize that you never died and you never was born. These are just ideas appearing within the field of awareness, and this is you. You are that. No,
So,
not understanding.
what separates what separates us from that?
Forgetting who you are means the I thought appears, presents itself as I, ego, and it makes the self no different than itself, but appears exactly like it is, the self. And this is the forgetfulness. So the more you realize who you are, the less identification with what you thought you are. And the more you're interested in who you are, means devotion. You inquire into your true nature. Then
Hmm.
the false notion fades away.
So, in truth, it's impossible for I to experience awareness.
That's accurate. I thought that cannot experience awareness.
So I've been deluding myself thinking that I am awareness.
Thinking it is an illusion. Being it is not an illusion. You cannot deny the experience of being aware.
But I can't trust that experience because I'm deluded.
Then you have to examine, where does this I arise from? What means when this I subsides momentarily? You have to have a glimpses of yourself without a thought.
But
Without
that's almost you know that's almost hallucinating.
no, it's very real. It's not hallucinatory means it's from the mind perspective. It says, what does it mean? I don't understand. I have to disappear in order to experience something that I cannot experience. This is only the mind thinking from its point of view.
But we have to use this mind uh, to cross the river.
The mind it has an antidote. It can undo itself by inquiring.
That must be the only. So it's this. So it's a repetition of who am I repeatedly, or is this true? This sequence of using these terminologies or this phraseology is the only means to free oneself from the delusion. That's the work.
Okay. What do you do right now to have the sense felt experience of aware?
The only way I could do that is what you actually have helped us with, and that's to go into the silence.
Okay, so what practice do you do right now?
The practices besides reading the literature that you gave us, it's almost a continuous practice on actually uh, observing my how often I have thoughts and can I stop the thoughts, and I do stop the thoughts, and that space in between thoughts,
You, des-
silence.
you describe.
Pardon? I
I,
didn't.
I heard the past. I asked, what do you do right now for being aware? Look inside.
That's all I can do is look inside.
Okay.
It's all I have is, at this moment. The tools I have is to look inside.
Okay. And what do you see?
It becomes silent. Everything becomes silent within within this body, and with that which I call I becomes silent. Yet I'm aware of everything around this I.
Is there a doing or just a being?
Just a being. That's the only description I can call it, just a being. And I take this from actually from you, that this experience is an experience of what I really am, and that's awareness.
תכניסי בחזרה את התמונה שאני ראיתי בגדול. בלי לחזור. לא. It's really essential to recognize when the ego jumps in and possesses awareness as an object, it objectifies it. And when you sense like a rawness, a almost, it just words point that vulnerability, openness, and humbleness. It has nothing to do with ego. Yet it's not nothing to do with mind. Yet there's no arrogance there. on. So it's to see when the ego says, I can dissolve into awareness. I can fix the attention on awareness, or I can experience awareness. And if you really look closely, you would recognize that it's the ego parading and jumping. And awareness sees that too. It doesn't really care nor mind that the ego tries to possess it, because it's not really the direct experience. This is why one has to really sincerely explore what they experience within. This is the most important. What is the, it's like explore what is really happening within. Because for the ego, it's easy to claim awareness. It did it already from the beginning. This is the beginning of ignorance, or the supreme position. Yet the moment there is pure honest recognition, it is known to be you, and it's not a thought of the ego. Am I clear?
Can you say that again?
Well, it, for sure what has happened is that where I felt no doubt, doubt has arisen.
Okay. This is good because doubt is always of the mind, and you're behind watching it, seeing, illuminating it. So the doubt has to be seen. There are layers of doubts. They come, they spring off over and over again to clear themselves out.
You know, there are times when it is rather easy, but not so frequent that I can observe Rome in action. So the difficulty is who is observing Rome in action, and who's the one talking that is observing Rome in action. There's no voice, there's no sound, but there's an observation.
With words to go along with it.
This is good. So the observation, still there is like a notion of two. Duality.
Yes.
You be interested like almost on the observer, and you leave the observed one. And the way you can leave the observed one is by posing a question around it. Means without that which is observed, what remains? This is inquiry. This inquiry, when the questions complete itself.
So actually, so that's what you're saying is that, which I can almost experience as I'm talking to you, is I'm actually observing myself. And the only way I can observe myself if I'm awareness.
Right. It's only awareness observes itself.
So then that is my experience.
Yeah. This is the most innermost direct
So
experience.
this does happen to me
A lot.
a lot. But
Yes.
I have no I could not describe it other than what I spoke to you about.
So the more you are interested in that, the false notion that you're a separate entity falls away.
So by asking myself, to whom does this thought arise, or who am I, this will continually keep me in the state that I choose, of awareness.
No.
No.
Because that's again the mind says, if I do the action of asking, I will gain the state of awareness. And it doesn't work like that. When the question is asked, if there is enough gap and there is no covering, awareness shines through, and I am that awareness. The mind cannot decide, that would be arrogance of the mind, or say, by asking, this is the result I would have. It means by taking action, I will realize that which is actionless from the mind's perspective. If you really check closely, you will see that that's not your immediate experience.
Well, then it's impossible. Then it's impossible for me to put words other than what I said before. That I'm very, I'm very capable, whoever that is, or my experience is not even capable. My experience is that I've observed Rome in action, let's say, but I'm not in action, and at the same time, it it confuses. Actually, there's a confusion. Is who's speaking now? Because you ask a question, or I answer the question, or I I explore an observation, and it's who is speaking now is not the one that observed Rome speaking. Now it's just the one that Rome observed is the one speaking now. I don't know if that makes sense. But I think that's where the confusion lies.
Because you try to figure out from the mind awareness. And I invite you to put the attention just on awareness by questioning what is not awareness, which are thoughts,
Hmm.
conceptual image.
Hmm.
You question it. By questioning it, not mechanical, not obsessive, just one question. When the question completes itself, if the mind is not active, you remain. And you are interested in that, so it's like awareness is interested in itself. So it's not observing anymore anything. It is I am aware without I am aware of wrong. I am aware of the talking. I am aware only.
So that's awareness speaking through Rome.
No.
Okay. No, I have to,
Why don't you leave the speaking and roam alone and stay with I am?
and when the question is put to me is, what is my experience? Who is speaking? It's the mind that is speaking again
So
about
that's
something that,
the question a little bit different.
okay,
Who is thinking?
automatically it's the mind asking that question, who is thinking?
And then what is the answer?
Me.
Me. Then without this thought, who am I?
That which does not speak.
It's better not to answer this question, because any answer would be thoughts within that which never speaks.
That's it. That's exactly that's what I've been exactly trying to figure out for the last 30 minutes.
It's like pose the question. If there is mental answer, you pose another question. When there is no answer, the answer lies, not as a thought, not as a movement of the mind. And that's the only answer that you start to put the attention on. That answer is you.
So those answers appear to be in a very small space, and then the mind or the ego comes in with a thought. So eventually those spaces get a little bigger.
It's not, it's this space appears to be gaps because the false identification reappears again.
Yes.
This space is infinite. So it has infinite depth. So the mind has to learn, these are pointers, yes, to rest in it. So it's resting into awareness, relaxing into awareness.
This is where the confusion begins. This is where the confusion. Well, but this is where it interferes. You say the mind interferes. It is the mind that's saying it interferes. It's the mind that's making this conversation. It's going over the book. It's the mind that's going over the book. And in order to be in awareness, most of the time, or whatever it is, it's in the state of observing the action and activity that me is going through, whatever that may be, eating, walking down the street, talking. It's just the ability to constantly observe them. Correct or not? I know it's my mind talking.
It's
me.
you have to see if your mind gets quieter or being still as we speak, or it turns to be more active.
So that's what we could observe is the activity of the mind, because going back and going over some of the things that we have talked about in the past, like Rajasic, Tamasic, and Sattvic, is that in this state, and I use words and forgive me, in that if in the Sattvic mind, the mind is still active.
It can be at rest. Yet the most important, the thoughts turn to be transparent. Means They don't have any solidity.
Mm.
They don't appear to be real. Therefore, there is no false identification that I am a thought. Neither the thought is real, and awareness, which is who I am, shines through it.
Thank you.
Ah,
That was
aha.
aha. What took you so long to get to make that realization? So it is the ability of the mind to observe itself.
Not directly. After.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If you check, you would see internally a thought appears, and then another thought comes relating to the thought prior that is no longer there.
Mm.
Yet you are in the background constantly aware.
Mm-hmm.
Yet the notion that you are the one who's thinking pulls all the attention, and it takes the stage instead of that which is constantly aware.
Yes. Yes. That's my personal experience.
So when the thoughts get the stage, in order for them not to be to perpetuate themselves, is to question the thought. And it can be just a simple question. Am I a thought? And you just watch. No answer.
Yes.
Make sure you don't try to analyze again the object. To try who is talking, again, talking is always already an object. It covers the subtle. So it creates a veiling. It's the fifth covering. The fifth covering is a tricky one. It veils the thoughts. You want to question the thoughts, not the objects. This is why I ask once.
The opposite thoughts. Do you mean question the thought before it becomes an object? Isn't a thought automatically an object?
Not before it becomes an object. I can ask who is talking. So I can answer it in few ways. I can say the body is talking, and then that's not enough. I would ask who is perceiving the body. Then it would be I am. And then I would ask, have I met this I am? So it was like steps, right? From the body, there was a mental answer. And from the mental answer, I questioned that answer, that mental, that image. So it's from the objects to the subtle, and inquiry is beyond subject and object relationship.
Automatically, inquiry is beyond.
If the mind is not active. If there is a mental answer, it's back into the relationship
Mm. Mm.
If there is no answer, it leaves you beyond any relationship, which is you. You do not have any relationship. Relationship is between the I thought and the my thought. In the non-dual, he calls it the I mode, which is the single mode, and the this mode, which is the multiplicity mode. It's between I and mine, I and me.
Does this have to have, does this kind of exercise has to be continuous?
Yes, except not obsessive. If it's obsessive, it turns to be mechanical, flat. If it's insightful, it leaves you as the seer. It has depth. It leaves you as that which is always constantly aware.
And
This
that,
is the continuity there is. The only real continuity. All the rest is just an imaginary.
and the easiest or the simplest way to do that is follow the inquiry with silence. So it
What,
doesn't become,
what,
so it doesn't become mechanical.
or don't ask a question more than once. And if you
Mm.
have another question, not the same question.
Mm. Mm.
So you don't repeat the same question twice, at least not into close proximity in the memory.
Mm. So, so there, there appears to be rules and a and a methodology.
The word that the wise use is a principle.
That's what they use. A principle to follow. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
They say knowledge is a principle. If you
Yep.
follow the principle, you find the way, yet you
Okay.
stick to the principle. Nobody will show you and teach you the way.
Yeah.
They will share with you the principle. You stick with the principle, and you
Mm.
find the way. It's the mind find the way back to rest in awareness.
Mm. It's stick up. Yes.
And through hearing the knowledge, something awakens inside the mind, and it starts to find its way. In the beginning, it's like, tell me what to do. I've met many minds that used to say, just tell me what to do. So I point into a way that they would have to find a way, yet
Mm.
stick to the principle.
Mm.
I shared before. You
Mm.
ask one question once, and then you ask another one, not the same question.
Mm.
That's a principle.
Yeah. or whatever it is. The understanding is understood.
So I can only share that in the beginning, I didn't know how to ask the question.
Mm.
I would get stuck. It's like, I don't know what question to ask. It's like I was looking for the questions because it was coming from memory. I have to figure it out. Instead of, okay, what? Observe. Be quiet for a moment. And then the question reveals itself and it is being asked.
So don't think of questions, just let the question come.
Yes, I do not ever know which question arises. And you've seen that the question that comes through are not the same every single time.
They're even confusing because they're not the same.
This is why we stick with the knowledge, because that brings clarity for the mind. Clarity and knowledge is sattvic. So it makes the mind sattvic. It gets the mind more subtle, purified, allows this awareness to shine through. And this is why they point the importance of knowledge. Even though the mind would say just intellectual, yes, let this subtle thought permeate and remove this more objective, dense thought. And then this shining of this awareness shine through them. That's where wisdom lies. And then suddenly there would be a wisdom that comes through and is asking the question. And it's not the ego asking. It's a higher intelligence. So the wise called it, this is the buddhi, the intelligence. So it's not the ego trying to ask the question to get rid of the thought or gain awareness. It's just true, sincere questioning without any agenda, without any goal. Now, if there's difficulty with that, if somebody shares, I can share something else. Yeah, because that can get people stuck. So if there's a question and they bring what's going on inside them, that gives me to see within, so I can point in a different way. If you just finish the what we start reading, he continues and said, this ego always outward bent, taking the world to be real and himself to be the doer and experiencer of pleasures and pains, desirous of this and that, undiscriminating, not once remembering his true nature, nor inquiring, who am I? What is this world? Basically, the ego does not question itself. It questions the objects of the world. It cannot question itself. It's only a higher intelligence that questions the ego itself. So even here he says, no inquiring who am I. Yet what people fail to understand, it's who am I is not just asking the question, who am I?
It's dissolving what I think I am.
Yes. How I don't even do that, right? Because the nature of the mind is to have thoughts. And the nature of thoughts is that they appear and disappear by themselves. So I don't have to dissolve a thought. A thought appears, completes itself, and dissolves. It disappears. Because then I have the notion that I am the doer, that I am the one who is doing, questioning, and experiencing the result of my questioning. So the ego doesn't really question other than the objects of the world.
But it's the higher mind, or that part of the mind, the wise aspect of oneself, that does question.
Yes. It questions if this I is real. Where the I arise from. Did I
It is.
ever see this I? And this what the beauty that it throws right the mind into inquiry. It throws the mind right into true, sincere examination. And that's what matters.
Obviously, obviously, the one who desires to be free from this illusion or delusion is the higher mind.
Yes. It's this desire is it begins in the higher mind, and then it's the same desire that the ego have to many objects of the world, yet it's the same desire. So the desire to be liberated is essential. It's like without this is nothing is possible, because this burning desire to be liberated is the catalyst. It's the four aspect of a qualified aspirant or a being that really wants to be liberated. The ability to discriminate between the real and the unreal, And then the next thing is that aversion to the enjoyment of one's action now and later means not attached to any future outcome, means when one inquires, they don't inquire to remove or gain anything. The third one is the sattvic qualities of the mind. And the fourth, which is last, is the yearning for liberation, which is the first one to bring the mind into hearing, which is the cause of discrimination. So although it's the last one because it's the last one to subside within awareness. Yet it's the first one that caused to bring one to hearing, that without this desire for liberation, none is interested to be hearing of the self. And this hearing removes ignorance gradually. And this hearing is the cause of discrimination, which awakens the ability to inquire.
So it's an improvement.
We can stop for now, so you take it in like this and you really explore the experience, inquire, examine, discriminate. And then we can make another time and then share with me what you see, and I'll share what I see.
I don't think I'm going to live long enough to go through the book.
Not really important. It's
I know that. I never
time.
thought.
We just use the book as a trigger and to go within.
So you'll let us know?
You want to decide now, or you want to let us know?
We can decide.
Okay.